Danny West joining us from 24/7 Sports. HawgSports.com, of course, is the website. Certainly worth your subscription, and always appreciate your time, Danny. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Always fun to be on with you guys. I appreciate you having me.
You got that right. So just as things are sort of chilling out as far as the games involving the Razorbacks, you get to the College World Series, and then it's kind of like, we'll call it quiet time. It's anything but quiet time as far as the recruiting news is concerned. It's been a rather busy month, and I guess the next few weeks moving forward are exactly the same. Would you call this, if you were to rank like your time of the year that's the most busy, where does this rank?
Yeah, it's number one now. It used to, I was telling Trey Biddy yesterday, used to back in the day, even 4 or 5 years ago, it seemed like I was going through my phone, and you know how it shows you updates from this day 5 years ago. You were fishing, you were catching all these fish, and those days are long gone, man. It's now June is the busiest month for both official visits, unofficials, camp season, and commitments, as it turns out. So back in the day, it was December, January, leading up to the traditional signing day in February. But now it's summertime. Did a study a while back and found that I want to say around 35 to 40% of all of Sam Pittman's commitments so far at Arkansas have come in June and July, which is pretty staggering to me.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been busy, buddy. I think they've had 6 commitments this month, and I don't think they're done yet. We've still got a few more days here in the month, I think. So I got my head on a swivel right now. There's a couple out there that I think could pop at any moment. July 4th should be good for them, and then I would say July 4th through around the 10th would be what I'm watching for. It could be up to 4 or 5 more guys jumping in the boat for them here.
So before we get to the high school commits, I want to ask maybe if there could be more in the portal on the way. I mean, you had the wide receiver from Toledo, Matt Landers, commit. That was like almost 2 months ago. You had Terry Hampton, the defensive lineman from Arkansas State, commit to Arkansas. Jordan Dominic as well. Is there any room left for any transfers for this upcoming year? And then we can get into the high schoolers.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. I think they're out of room at this point now, unless they've got a trick up their sleeve. Sorry, I've got a siren coming by me here in a second, but don't think so. I think they're pretty much out of room in terms of immediate help.
I guess getting Dorian Gerald that extra year of eligibility and coming out of the portal back to the team might have been the last piece of that. All right, so now to the kids that committed this past weekend, and I had my head obviously in the College World Series, and I know you like to have your head in that too. You're a big baseball fan, but there were 3 commits over the weekend. Who do you think? I want to ask about this linebacker, Alex Sanford. The kid's already 6'3", 240. I mean, this is a senior who's already got the size of an SEC linebacker. I think I lost Danny.
I will try redial. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah, I unplugged there. But Alex Sanford, that's the one thing I've noticed about this class really over the last couple of years under Sam Pittman. They've targeted bigger linebackers, and I'm a fan of that. Back in the day, they would Arkansas traditionally would have to settle for a guy who's maybe 6'1", 6'2", 200, and you hope like heck that he can add the weight, keep the weight, and still be able to run and hit the way you would like an SEC linebacker to do. Well, now they're going and getting these ready-made guys. They've kind of upped the ante a little bit. I think that's a good thing. You think about some of the guys they brought in. Chris Paul actually had to drop a few pounds when he came in. Manny Powell came in at like 6'2", 230 last year. And this guy is no different. He's 6'3", around 240, somewhere in that range. Really, really big kid. Might actually have to slim up just a tad, but, the thing I noticed about him, really, really physical. That seems to be a theme as well at the linebacker spots. They're really targeting these big physical guys. Maybe you give up a step here and there, but you're not going to be pushed around the way we've seen in years past, 5, 10 years ago with some of the smaller linebackers. Now, that's not to say there's not a spot for, a shorter guy. We've seen Grant Morgan become an All-American, so I do think there's a spot for those types. They've got a kid right now on campus, Jordan Crook, who I think is going to be really good, but for the most part, it seems like they are going after those prototypical 6'2", 230 and up type guys, and Sanford definitely falls under that category, a kid out of Oxford, Mississippi. Kind of a unique deal there to go in and steal one in Ole Miss's backyard. Ole Miss did offer him, and so, that's a feather in the hat there.
One of the commits is R.J. Johnson from McDonough, Georgia. He's listed as an athlete, and I'm never quite sure where those kids are going to play when in high school they're called an athlete. So where do you see R.J. Johnson lining up once he makes it to campus?
He's going to start out on defense at corner, believe it or not. He's 6'3", 180, but the plan is to start him at corner. But I encourage people on every new commitment to go out and kind of formulate your own opinion on some of these guys. But the first two plays on his huddle film they're defensive plays, but he's making one-handed interceptions going high in the air and coming down with these things. So I think, if for whatever reason it weren't to work out on defense, man, you flip him over, I think he could be a pretty good wide receiver for you. It's something he's done in high school. When you check out that film, just wait around for the offensive clips. They're pretty impressive as well. But I'll tell you this, too, as a little side note, Phil, you may want to hire this guy one of these days for your radio show here. He's got a voice that is just outstanding. Remind me when we're done. I'll send you an audio clip of this guy. He's really got a good voice.
Drew, wait maybe another couple years, and then we can get ready.
I was about to say, Danny, you're trying to hire my replacement here?
I like you, Drew. I'm just looking. I'm trying to project down the road.
Okay.
Maybe he's a network announcer kind of a guy. The one that voices the commercials. Maybe that's what he'll do.
I'm telling you, he's going to need a podcast or something. I've told him that, too. He's really got a dynamic voice.
Well, Danny, when you first joined us, you talked about how busy the month of June is, and talked about how they got the ones over the weekend. Any more that are going to come before the end of the month, first week leading up to 4th of July? And if so, you got any crystal ball predictions for us?
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm laying off of, to be honest, because I've already kind of been told where they're going, so I don't want to spoil it for the kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
we try not to do. I mean, it'd be easy for me to pop on there and get one right, but that wouldn't be very nice of me, would it?
No.
Yeah, they're out. To answer the question, Drew, there are a couple. Like I said, I got my head on a swivel. I thought they might actually come yesterday, so I'm still kind of looking out for a couple this week here in the next 24, 48 hours. And then, of course, next week, July 4th, for whatever reason. I almost encourage kids not to do this because I feel like, in their mind, they think everybody's sitting around on their phones on July 4th, and they're going to get more exposure that way by announcing their commitments, when, in fact, people are trying to spend time with their family. So, but regardless, I do think July 4th, again, for maybe the 10th straight year in a row, I'm going to be sitting in front of a computer writing commitment stories.
Well, hopefully it's good commitment stories and guys that is going to be great for Arkansas in the next couple of years. Danny, also, with the way that commitments have changed, you said that 35 to 40% of commitments happen in June, and all these offers get thrown out during camp season. How hard has it been of recent to really keep guys, committed from that long of a period? You talked about, basically December, we're only talking about keeping guys committed and fully invested for a month or two. Now you're talking about almost half a year. Yeah. Just because a guy commits, the recruit, you still got to keep recruiting them. And how tough do you think that's been on some coaching staffs, and how hard is it to keep a guy fully committed for that long?
Mm-hmm. It is tough, especially, right now they've got the number 6 class in the country. That tells you right there they've got some really good kids committed. But on top of that, what comes with that is teams are going to continue to try to take your guys, and we've seen that all the time. Now, I'm not saying they're going to finish number 6 in the country. Typically, your blue blood type programs are going to pass them up in the end, but I do think they've got a pretty good shot at maybe a top 15, top 17 type class this year. But with that, like I said, Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, they're going to keep coming after some of these guys, so you've got to try to hold on to them. But you bring up a good question there. In fact, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago, I did a study on this, and I found that, I was just kind of curious one day. We don't see a lot of decommitments at Arkansas under Sam Pittman, and I think he tries to check all the boxes up front. Now, shoot, now that I say that, he's probably going to have 5 today, of course. But actually, he had the lowest amount of decommitments since he's been at Arkansas of anybody in the SEC. So I think they're on the right kids, from an athleticism, being able to play standpoint, but they've also got on some really good kids who, they took their time with the process. I think they've actually probably shied away from taking a few commitments because they weren't sure if that kid was truly ready. They don't want a yes until the kid is fully committed to them. Now, that's not to say a kid might commit and still take a couple visits, but for the most part, once they commit to Arkansas, they've pretty much been locked in. So that's, knock on wood, that you hope that continues for them.
Mm-hmm. What an interesting bit of info about the recruiting classes coming in, that they are I guess they feel the most committed to the coaches. It speaks a lot to the relationships that are built, that's for certain.
Yeah.
Got a question here from Jeff in Fayetteville. He asks about Garrett Odom. I guess this is Coach Barry Odom's son. He's a quarterback at Shiloh Christian, has an offer from the Hogs. What do you know about him?
Yeah, he's up and coming. He's a 2025, so he's still got a little ways out. We've got him at 6'1", 175. And for those at home that want to Google it, it's actually Garryt, Garrett Odom. So, A&M's in there. They've already offered. Purdue, always a big-time offer for a quarterback. North Texas, Middle Tennessee State. So, obviously, the bloodlines are there, and he's definitely one to watch. Now, I'd be lying if I said I've gone really in-depth in the 2025 class so far. I've kind of been wrapped up in the 23s and 24s yet, but we're very much aware of Garrett and obviously his connection to Arkansas. So we'll see in the next year or two what it looks like, but really promising guy so far.
Well, and I need to finish on what your initial reaction was to the Arch Manning news last week. You cover Arkansas specifically, but this is like the most heavily recruited quarterback or player in the history of the sport, so I keep being told, and it's only his uncle was the last one that was the most heavily recruited and drama that went away with it. So what was your reaction to the Arch Manning news?
A little bit surprised. I thought my initial guess, which I wasn't following Arch Manning all that closely, but I always assumed Georgia would win out. They had Todd Monken on there. He's a dynamic recruiter, just electric, seems to have a really high success rate. I know Arch had taken several trips out there. So, just sitting back from afar looking at it, I always thought SEC, no doubt. I knew Clemson would be up there, but with Texas, I guess it makes sense. He's still going to have the opportunity to play in the SEC, and hey, more power to him, man. That's probably one of the biggest gets I can ever remember, and it certainly did surprise me. I didn't know they were in such a good position with it.
So on July 4th, next Monday, when we're not doing a show next week. I don't know what the other guys are doing. I plan on hanging out, enjoying the day, might sleep in a little bit. You're going to be hard at work. You won't leave the desk. You'll be on the laptop all day. You'll be on the phones all day. That'll be one of your busiest days.
I disagree with that. I'm planning on having most of the work already written beforehand. So, I'll be flipping burgers right along with you, Phil.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.